I'm back. What's up, guys? I know it's been a while since you've seen me, but I've been working on my business. I do multiple events. As a matter of fact, in 2023, I'm doing a fight event. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. So let's talk about Khamzat versus, drumroll please,
Nate Diaz?
Really? Well, I kind of feel like they're doing Nate wrong here. And, the word on the street is that since Nate is leaving the UFC needs to build up a name off of Nate. And who better than Khamzat Chimaev? Shale made an interesting point on one of his last videos when he was talking about, do you remember when Khamzat and Leon Edwards were the first time that they were booked to fight? Leon Edwards was number 3. This was Khamzat's straight shot to Kamaru Usman for the title shot. Do you remember that? It's crazy to think about that plan was abandoned. And I don't know why they changed their mind on that, but they did. It's interesting to think about. Do you have any thoughts of why they would change their mind on that? The only thing I can think of is that they saw how much of a star Khamzat was, and they're like, hey, more fights, more build, more hype, more pay-per-views, right? I don't know. Speaking of pay-per-view, did you hear that Disney is having ESPN raise the pay-per-views another 43%, which would put pay-per-views at like $107? That's wild, man. That's wild. I think that's going to really hurt their sales. I know they're trying to make their sales better by increasing it, but it's going to hurt their sales unless they have like a really, really big campaign where they're going to crack down on, people who pirate. But we'll see. I don't know. I digress. Khamzat versus Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is leaving the UFC. He wants to do his last fight. And I did see an interview where he was like, for now. And I know he's probably wanting to do the thing that like Cejudo and GSP and possibly maybe even Habib are doing, where they step out, wait for something interesting, want to do a big super mega fight, and then come back in. Nate Diaz could easily do that. There's a lot of fighters that can do that. Nate Diaz could step out and do that. Jorge Masvidal could step out and do that. There's quite a few. I mean, obviously Conor McGregor can do that. But he knows this. Nate knows this. So he is wanting to leave the UFC and fight Jake Paul for the big, for the big bankroll. Which we'll do another video on Jake Paul too, because there's some interesting, weird stuff going on there too, and I think I have it figured out. But who do you guys think is going to win between Nate Diaz and Khamzat Chimaev? Do you think the same thing as me? Do you think that the UFC is just throwing him out to the wolves to build Khamzat's name up? Another point that Shale made is he says he doesn't know the reason why this fight is happening. He's like, why is this fight happening? Well, I do know why this fight's happening. Money. That's it. Shale doesn't want to come out and say that because that feels icky and it's kind of a bad look on the UFC because it's a sport. And legitimate sports aren't just about the money. It's about competition and stuff like that. But anytime you have two men in an octagon, there's a competition, and there's something to see. So I guess the UFC gets a little bit of leeway on that. But yeah, Shell, money. The thing about it is Nate is a main headliner pay-per-view. He's going to make money anytime he's on a main card. It, weirdly enough, he could be on a preliminary card and people will come just to see that. He's just a star. So anytime he's on a card, people are going to pay. And I know Shell already knows this, but I'm just answering it because I'm one of the little fish in the big sea of YouTube here. So I'll just be real with it, you know. When I have more eyes on me, maybe I'll keep the secrets a little closer to the cage, right? But for now, I can pretty much lay it all out there and it's not going to really affect anything or anyone. So yeah, money. That's it. Nate Diaz is a huge star. Khamzat's a growing star. Khamzat pulls numbers alone. Nate pulls numbers alone. Nate's leaving. They kind of want to stick it to Nate and devalue him a little bit because they don't want. Here's another angle that's happening here. Business wise, this is another reason why this fight's happening, is because they want to devalue Nate Diaz. Because if you own a business, a fight business, all other fight promotions are kind of a little bit your competition, you know? UFC is much way above all others, but you know, their other promotions are still getting attention and stuff like that, and they're considered competition to Dana White and the UFC. So if they devalue Nick Diaz, you know, his last fight with the UFC, he fights Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat just goes out there and destroys him. Now when Jake Paul starts talking shit to Dana White, like, oh, pay your fighters, blah, 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 you know, Dana White can just brush it off and be like, look, he says the same thing all the time. I'm looking for the best fighters in the world. You go do your circus act, you know? So basically, if Khamzat destroys Nate, then Dana White can just be like, look what happened in his last fight. Like, you're just taking the scraps that fall off of our table and you're picking the biggest, easiest scrap and capitalizing on it. You're not a real fighter. You're a joke, you know, that kind of stuff. Although I think Jake Paul is easing his way into a legitimate boxer, you know, a legitimate fighter that, you know, I don't know. I don't know. We haven't really seen enough yet, you know? We'll see. But I do think he's a legitimate boxer. I think he works really hard, trains real hard, and um, is getting better all the time. So, and he's getting a lot of attention. But yeah, that is the reason that this fight is happening, to devalue Nate before his exit of the UFC, and because it's one last big money grab off of Nate before he leaves. And it's going to pump up Khamzat too to get a big name like that, you know, as a mark on his belt. And then what they'll probably do is, and I predicted this actually a long time ago, maybe like a year ago. I'll have to go look through the video archives and see, but I predicted that they're probably going to give Khamzat Colby Covington. I think that that's who's next. Although the whole Colby Covington saying that um, Masvidal gave him some sort of brain injury, I don't know if he's going to be able to even be booked for a fight saying something like that public and having the court of law involved in it. I don't know how that works, you know? So if it's not Colby Covington, then who's it going to be? You know, he still has Leon Edwards. He can go up against Masvidal. Masvidal. I always say it Masvidal. It's Masvidal. Yeah, he can always go up against Masvidal. They talked about a rematch with Burns, but I think what it comes down to is timing. You know, what's available at that time and the biggest money grab they possibly can get at that moment. It's a business, and it's a business we love watching the product of. Anyway, I don't have to ask you who do you think is going to win in a fight between Nate Diaz and Khamzat Chimaev. the betting cards will tell you where that's leaning really fast. I just checked it, and let's see. I am going to verify what I'm about to say just to make sure. Chimaev is minus 2,000. Nate Diaz plus 1,000. So if you believe that Nate Diaz will win, you better put your money down, but don't do too much because I'd hate for you to lose some money. But yeah, I won't ask you who I think is going to win between Nate Diaz and Khamzat Chimaev. If you like the content, subscribe, hit the like button, comment down below,
and freaking ring that bell.
See you guys next time.